Hey guys, it's David. I'm here test piloting my new Canon video camera. We're going to give it a shot. Talk to you today about something that I think everybody likes to talk about, right? Money. Specifically, we're going to talk about military money. So I was looking at my leave and earnings statement earlier today, and I just kind of was looking at taxes because it's tax season here, and I realized how little we pay in taxes. And I've noticed this before, but what really dawned on me was the other day I was talking to one of my Marines about them exiting the military. And one of the arguments they brought up was the same argument that I hear a lot of people mention, and that's that I only make X amount of money a year. It'll be easy for me to replace that on the outside. Maybe, if that was true. But what they do is they look at the W-2 and they see that they only made $30,000 this year. And they forget all the other numbers and benefits and bonuses and money that gets thrown into our paycheck. And that's a very unfortunate mistake because they'll realize it, but it'll be too late. So I just kind of wanted to touch base on that real quick. So here's the deal, right? I've been in the military for about 10 years. I'm an E6, so my basic pay is $2,965 a month, right? Every month I get that, and that is what goes on my W-2. That's it. So my W-2 says that I make like $36,000, $37,000 a year, or whatever the case, and that's what gets taxed. And it gets taxed at a pretty low rate because of how small a tax bracket that puts us in. But that doesn't factor in all the other benefits, right? So we get a housing allowance, which varies where you live. So my last duty station in Missouri, I got about $850 a month. Now I get $3,015 a month, $36,000 a year for housing. It's a pretty substantial amount of money to forget about, especially when you consider that right now I'm stationed in Hawaii. I have $1 million view. I live in base housing. My house is completely taken care of. I have no expenses, no worries. I live right down the road from work. And oh, by the way, this house would cost me way more than $3,000 if I was to exit the military and try to buy a house right here. Same size, same build. Base pay, right? So on top of the housing allowance, we get the BAS, which is basic allowance for subsistence, which is like your food allowance, right? So as a young Marine or military member, you live in the barracks, you go to the chow hall, you eat for free, whatever. You get married or promoted or whatever the case, you move out, you rate comrades or this subsistence allowance. Basically, it's $351 or $352 a month for food, which is awesome, right? $350 if I really wanted to be frugal and go to the commissary and eat healthy and eat cheap and whatever. $350 a month would be way more than enough to feed my family of 4. Could absolutely do it. So on top of the housing allowance and subsistence allowance, we also get free surgeries, free health care. We get free dental, which is great because cavities are not fun. We get, if you go to combat, so combat pay, hazardous duty pay, special duty assignment pay like drill instructor, recruiter, or Marine security guard, jump pay, dive pay, if you get paid if you speak a second language, third language, any of that stuff is not taxed, right? So that's all bonuses basically that you just get thrown into your paycheck, and because they're like byproducts of doing your job, you don't really have to pay anything for them. So here you are getting taxed for making like $36,000, $37,000, $40,000, $30,000 a year. But if you go on your Marine Online, Air Force Online, Army Online, Navy Online, whatever your website is, and you pull it up, you can look, there's a button, and I'll show you at a later date, but because the military is so secure, I can't apparently look at my pay stuff anymore on my personal computer. I got to do it at work. So it is what it is. But if you pull it up, it'll tell you what you actually get paid, right? Like what amount of money it would take to live the exact same lifestyle you're living right now in the exact same place with the exact same amount of money. My number right now is like $107,000 a year. So yeah, $40,000 a year, easy. Go be a welder. Go be a nurse. Go be a mechanic. Go do whatever you want to do in the civilian world. You could probably find a way to make $40,000 a year entry, and you would be able to just smoothly transition into the civilian world. But what people realize, unfortunately, is that they transition out of the military, they move into the civilian sector, and all of a sudden, wait a minute, I need another $60,000 if I want to live that way? I mean, I'm not getting a pay raise, I'm getting a pay cut? Well, that's no fun. So we want to make sure that you guys transition, and we want to help you guys transition in the smoothest way possible, whether that's after 4 years, 10, 20, 30, no difference to us, right? The most important thing is that you get out of the military, you're happy, you're healthy, you're wealthy, and you're alive to enjoy it all, right? There's a lot of different things the military is doing right now to kind of take care of the service members, right? So the blended retirement system. This system is awesome provided you're under a certain amount of years in the military, right? So I think my number was 7. Personally, had I been under 7 years time in service, I would have opted into the blended retirement system. So the BRS is basically like a modern day retirement, if you will, where the military will no longer pay you quite as much for a pension, but they'll match whatever you put into your retirement account up to 5% for every month. So let's say that I have my thrift savings plan, which you should. It's a great plan. You're not going to find a better Roth or 401k anywhere. So let's say you take your 401k, and right now I put in 8%. The military will now come in and put 5% in. So they will match up to 5%. So put in 2%, they put in 2, that's 4. Put in 3, 3, 6. Get the idea, right? If I put in 10%, they still only put in the max, which is 5%, but that's 15% rather than 10%. Let's do the math for me right now. At $2,965 a month, I put in right at $300 a month if I put in 10%. The military is going to come in and put another $150 a month in. Over the course of a year, that goes from me putting in $3,600 to me putting in like, I don't know, $5,400, something like that. And you're going to take that money now and you're going to put it in your TSP, and it's just going to compound every year. So if you earn 10% interest, that $5,400 just grew $540. So now you're at $5,940, and then the next year it grows, and then it grows, and then it grows, and the whole time you're adding to it, and all of a sudden you get out and you got this $1 million nest egg when you retire, and you can enjoy your life. There's a couple of other options with the blended retirement system that are pretty sweet, right? So if you get out after 4 years, you can take whatever you added and what the military matched. So you do your 4 years, you get out, you walk away, you get to keep your pension. Right now, yeah, I keep my thrift savings plan, but the military doesn't add to that, right? So there's no additional money that comes in. I don't get my 5%. But if I keep the BRS and I go to the longevity, so you also get a continuation pay at 12 years. There's some, we're still kind of figuring out some numbers. It's going to depend on your job, but basically it's a bonus. Like, here, take this money. If you stay past this enlistment, keep it. If not, you can pay it back to us. But here's some free money since you're re-enlisting anyway. Kind of like a mini bonus. You can take a lump sum when you get out. Now, there's some reasons this may not necessarily be worth looking into, but you know, if you feel like you could take $100,000, $200,000 and run with it, then you could do that upon your retirement, and then just draw half of your retirement check for the next 10, 15 years, and then it would go back up to full price. Or you just keep taking payments normally, and it works like the normal retirement system. The only other thing with that is that as leaders, we need to understand that the blended retirement system, we have to actually learn something about 401ks now. So if you don't know anything about the BRS or the thrift savings plan, look into the life cycle funds. You can set it for the year you want to retire. Say life cycle 2050 is mine right now. Some people coming in right now would probably be life cycle 2060, and somebody will manage your account to where over time they'll go from a lot of risk, high growth, to slowly less risk, less growth as you get older, so that, you know, by the time I'm 60, I'm not rolling the dice for Yahtzee. But right now, I don't care. I'm young enough that if they were to roll my dice and go big or go home, I'll play that game. I got 35 years to make it up. Next thing, while you're in, save 10% of your paycheck, right? So aside from your TSP, you should be putting 10% of your paycheck into a savings account. Now, I don't mean savings like just set it in savings and leave it there, but it should be you should build up a bit of an emergency fund, and then you should build it towards a actual investment fund. So that money should be put somewhere, whether it's an index fund or real estate, or, which is my favorite, or stocks, or whatever the case may be, where that money's gonna grow and work for you rather than just sitting there doing nothing. Okay, guys, so hopefully you got a little bit out of this. We talked real briefly on military money. Most important thing to realize is that you guys actually do get paid a lot more than you think. There's this stigma about the military not getting paid anything, and I want to change that. We get paid quite a bit. I have a lot of very successful friends in the military that are doing better than most of my friends who said, you know, why are you joining the military? You're not going to do anything with your life, which we've all heard. So changing the stigma, talking about military money, getting good with it, and learning to invest and save your money so that when you get out of the military after 4 or 30 years, you're set for success. Thanks for listening, guys. Tune in next time to another exciting episode of Talking About Military Money.